There's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of you guys online already before like 10 minutes to or 5 minutes to. So I put, oh my God, you guys are fast. And Charlotte writes, sabrura, which means, that's what she said. So that's why I'm laughing on there. Anyway, hello. Karl will come by in a minute, but until then, I'm going to show you needle binding. So, Max, I don't know if you're here. Let me just check off to say hi to people first. TB's here. Oh, Torben was first. Oh my God, Albert's going to be so upset. Oh, Kiwi just finished her project with the dollar and a stitch. Thanks for the inspiration. I just made something in dollar, actually, but I left it in the shop, which was kind of stupid. I made a hat. I was going to use dollar on another stitch, but another project, but it was bad, so I had to rip it up. But I'll get more to that in a minute. Hey, Heidi. And Karin is here, and Arlene is here, and TB, I have the computer next to me today. And Charlotte is here, and Ashley's here. Audra is here too. And Garcia's back. And Susan Youngman. Susan Youngman for Adirondacks. She kept me company in the car on the way back yesterday, or on last week, I mean. Turns out she's going to move to Baccarat, Germany, so I can no longer say Susan Youngman from Adirondacks. So it'll be Susan Youngman from Baccarat, but that's almost as fun to say. And Karsten's here from Hamburg, so I'm assuming Doro is there too. Karin Burv is here. I suppose that's because Torben's here, but I appreciate that the two of you are sitting in the same house and logged in separately. You're making my stats go up. Let's see, catch up on some things here. You guys are having hot weather, at least Susan Youngman is. It's 17 degrees there. It's actually been a bit warmer here, but it's rained cats and dogs like mad. So I drive the whole way here. It's about a 5.5 hour drive anyway. It starts raining as I start going down the Hemsedal mountain, and I'm already in the Gudvangen tunnel. At least it let me resume it this time. I don't know what happened there, but maybe I should go back to being on Wi-Fi. Okay, so anyway, I was driving from Oslo area to here, and I was about 1 kilometer left in the tunnel, and I go to turn off my map, and I see, because I was listening to a podcast the whole time, unfortunately not yours, Torben, but I was listening to This Is Monsters, and so I didn't see the map anyway, so I switched back to the map, and all of a sudden, you know, just to turn it off, and it says weather warning for the area that you're in right now, and I have no idea how long that was up, so I'm like, okay. But I did know that it's been raining a lot, and I did know when I got to Aurland and then to Flom, there's like a crap load of extra waterfalls along the whole thing. It looks like just like a basin spilling over. And then I get to the gap between the tunnel of Flom and the tunnel of Gudvangen, and that little area before you turn into Underdal was also a crap load of waterfalls in each direction. So that means when you see a lot of waterfalls like that, you keep your eye on the mountains to see if anything's falling down. Which was good. So I didn't really realize anyway, but anyway, Gudvangen is right at just as you get out of the tunnel is the Viking village, so I was already there. And then no further have I been out of the car, less than 15 minutes, and you can hear the rocks just falling down on the other side of the one in the picture here anyway. That one was avalanching quite a bit last night. And Voss is underwater in the downtown area. I guess they're saying it is the worst flooding they've had there in a long time. There's a hotel that's like this 30 centimeters underwater. We're fine here, but the river's raging. The camping place was completely underwater, but there's nobody camping there right now. Torben says, I saw an outhouse sailing down the river. I gotta pull that back up on here. There was a lot of rain here too. Yeah, so it's crap, a load all over the place, but we need it. So this means the electricity prices are gonna go down, right? Actually, I did get a notice from my electricity company last week that said it's because of the extra rain that the prices are going down, which is really good because I hardly use any electricity at all, and I'm already paying 1,600 kroner a month. And I used less than I did last year, and it was not that much. So anyway, but it was Max who has said, oh, you're friends with my kids. Oh, that's wonderful, Lee. I don't know if they watch me anymore. I embarrass the crap out of them because I'm a mom and that's my job. Max, I don't know if Max is here yet or not, but this is chenille. This is the yarn that Max was talking about, wanting to know if you can felt with it. I mean, you can needle bind with it. Yeah, you can, but it, so we were going into the stroke your yarn thing again. I made Karl stroke the yarn. But if you rub the yarn like this chenille, and these little fuzzies will come off. You can see there's one like right there. I don't know if it's showing up, but anyway, it depends on how much it can handle that, because every time you do a stitch, you're going to be pulling all the yarn through all the work. And if it's a really crappy chenille, it wouldn't have been able to tolerate that. You can see on the end there, it's basically just a string. I don't know if you can see that actually, with a bunch of these little fuzzies sewn in. But I think Lion Brand makes one which is called Super Chunky Chenille. Hey, Anne Monroe is here too. Super Chunky Chenille anyway, and that one I actually crocheted something with it, and then I changed my mind, decided I wanted to knit with it because I didn't like the look. And as I was pulling it apart, just ripping up the crochet to knit with it, there was fuzzies everywhere, and you could actually see the string that's holding the stuff together, and that would never work for needle binding. But this is an old one, unfortunately. This has got to be vintage now because it's probably 20 years old. It's something I was making as a project with crochet. But this one I've ripped up a couple times and it's no problem. Let's see if I can find it. I keep touching I keep doing that. So I broke my tooth 2 days ago, so bear with me. I have a dentist appointment on Monday. Any of you have these fillings from the 80s? They put these metal fillings from the 80s anyway, but now what they don't think about is they expand over time. So when you get to be my age, they break your teeth from the inside out. So 2020 I broke a tooth. Last year I broke a tooth, and this is this year's tooth. So I seem to be doing one a year. But anyway, let's see if I can rip up this crochet from God knows how many years ago. There. Okay, let's see if I point this down and turn it, maybe like that, then I can hug it and you can see. So if you do this, it's probably not the best color to show, and it was coming apart. This is just ripping up crochet, but you can't really see, the yarn is still fine, but if you do this with a cheaper one, a cheap chenille, then you'll start seeing the thread in the middle that's holding it together, and it can't take this. This one can. So I did needle bind with it. This is the same yarn, but it's gray or silver. And just to prove a point, I did needle bind with it. Velour yarn, you could call it a velour yarn, but it's chenille is the proper name for it. So just so you know, Torben, if you're a yarn snob, you call it chenille. But yeah, it's like a velour. Has like a bit of a velvet, soft velvet feel to it. So I made these with it, but okay, so now there's the question. It is possible to needle bind with it, and I had to use some really, really long yarn because you have to do a lazy join. There's no splicing with this. You can't even sew it into each other. It just won't work. Maybe you can do like a Russian knot. Hey, Nella's here, just in time for my chenille. Look, I null-boned with chenille. But anyway, this is the also stitch. I don't know if it's actually worth needle binding with chenille because you can barely tell that it's needle bound. I might as well have just crocheted it. you know, maybe if you pull it apart a little bit. But they're super warm anyway, so I will put these in the store and call them Viking inspired. But it's you can be a yarn snob, Torben. We'll teach you. Karin will teach you how to be a yarn snob. But yeah, no, I'll put them in there, but we'll just have to call them Viking inspired because these are chenille is no way anywhere near Viking age. Chenille is a modern yarn. But it was possible to do it, so there you go. It is possible to needle bind with chenille, but you have to make sure that you have a really good chenille. I did put this in my Instagram stories, and you can see what my leg looked like after needle binding 2 of these. And this is a good one, so I still had... God, that's hot. It's too hot. Anyway, but you can see how it looks. The other thing is I cast on for one, I'm so used to knitting language anyway, but I put on 27 stitches to go around. And then I went to count to see how many I had so that I could make the other side just the same. And I realized it was a pain in the ass trying to count the loops here. You can barely see them. They blend into each other so well. But actually, I'm not doing too bad considering I'm looking through a camera at my fingers. But that was a pain in the butt. So I decided I was going to make these in Dalarna, and I did a couple stitches in Dalarna and realized that it's much denser than it looks because I thought also it would be too thin. But then I had to unpick the dollar knot, and I couldn't see where the yarn started and ended, so it was pretty tricky. I managed to do it though, but I had to unpick it from the other side. But if I find a needle here, let's see, I need a bigger needle. What's Torben say there? Is this yarn free range? Is it lactose free, or does it come in royal blue? You know, it does actually come in royal blue. Funny you should mention that. I have another version of it. This is my mom's stash. So this is a different kind of chenille, but this one has royal blue. Look, royal blue. I bet you thought you were being smart, but this one changes colors. So if I made a hat with this, I mean, it would look really funny. I did used to crochet hats with this a long time ago, but it seems to be okay as wrist warmers, but we're just going to have to put them as Viking inspired in time for the Christmas market. But maybe I'll do that with these two. This one would be, because it changes colors and it's a little bit more thin and a little bit more solid, this one would actually probably be really easy to see the loops for, or much easier. But you can see it doesn't come apart when I do that. So that's good. So anyway, I got a needle here. This one is made of apple, if I remember right. I haven't used this one too much because I usually like them longer. That's what she said. Charlotta, you have me thinking Sabrura now. So anyway, if we cast on, or add start anyway, I'll just do Oslo. Okay, so maybe took too much yarn here. It looks like it would be too loose, but oops. See, now there you go. I pulled it right out of my hand, and now I can't find the damn end again because it's hard to see. So, don't apologize. Sabrura. There, I think I found it. It's hard to do this while looking through at my fingers through a phone. So I don't know if you can still get this yarn, but you must be able. I mean, this one's from the United States, so this one was some Norwegian stuff that I bought before the millennium, or just after the millennium, I think. But it's held up really well. Oops, pulled it too tight. Can't see that when I do that. There. So, I don't know, it's like trying to needlebind with a stuffed animal. It's a furry. There. So, stretch it out. Try to count the loops on that thing. It's not easy. Actually, I can kind of see them on this one, but it's pretty tricky. It's hard enough just to see that it goes in a circle, but it's hard to see the loops. So in that way, it's really hard to tell that this is Oslo stitch. But there you go. I am proving it. You can needlebind with chenille, but you have to have a really good quality chenille. So, you know, become a yarn snob like Torben. PJ is here. Hey, PJ. I am needlebinding with chenille. I have never tried this before, but it was Max that brought it up last week about chenille. And the idea is, yes, you can, but use the good stuff, not the cheap stuff. But is it worth it, though? Because, for one, you can barely see the loops. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking about having it run through. But the yarn has to tolerate getting pulled through time and time again without shredding. Free range. How do I join the next bit? I have to do a lazy join. That I can probably show in a different yarn because you won't be able to see what I'm doing on this thing. But this is the hard part. Can you see the loops? It's damn near impossible to count how many loops you did. And then when you're going to start needle binding in the next one, you kind of have to feel where they are when you're going to do the next round. But so anyway, I did a lazy join. I can actually get that started. I'll turn this again. You can see the top of my head. Yeah, I have some crap yarn. No, so the thing, you know, and then look at that. If I crocheted this, you wouldn't be able to see much of the difference. So I don't know if it's actually worth needle binding chenille because you just don't see the stitches. Might as well have crocheted it, but I don't know. So I put it up on Instagram. Is it worth doing it or not? Let's see, maybe I can make a chain. There's a bunch of different ways to do lazy join. I guess this is just the way that I did it. I kind of approached it from a crochet method. Let's see. So what did you guys do this week, and how is your stash busting going? I had to add 22 to my 596 last week so that I could finish off a hat. I finished it off. It's on Instagram. So now my new total was 618 grams that I'm using, 618 grams, and I am down to 407 grams left, I think, because I finished another hat, but I haven't put it up yet because I was driving yesterday and then working today, so I didn't have time. But I made a hat with mystery yarn, some sort of blue. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can see it better this way. Let's see if we turn the camera again. Yeah, you can see it there a little bit. There's colors. It's like the Aurora Borealis type of colors. It kind of goes from green to like this olive to blue, but it's hard to see. And this one's in Mummin. So 2 loops behind the thumb and F2. Although I wonder if I either pulled it a little bit longer there or if maybe I didn't do F2 there. I don't know. It seems to have a little bit of a gap right there, but we're just going to call that a feature. But this is a little bit big. It doesn't tug my ears too tightly, but I didn't feel like making it any smaller because some people actually want one to fit. So there's 47 grams on my stash busting. There you can look at that. It's got a price tag on already because they're going to the store. I'm getting kind of tired of making hats, but we need them from the store, so maybe I have to do more wrist warmers. Those ones I have there, I made them just last night in a couple hours, so they go pretty fast. 2 episodes of Rogue. Karl, what's that show called that we were watching? He probably has his headphones on. It was Rogue something anyway. It's World War II movie, which is right up his alley. Although he's constantly complaining about everything that's incorrect. So maybe it's not. You wound up having to buy extra yarn to finish the hat. So as far as stash busting goes, it was a bust. Well, there you go. I added 22 to mine just to finish off that rim on the black hat. These don't count on the stash busting. I just did those because when I was cleaning in my closet a bit more to slowly move, I found the chenille yarn. I didn't think I had any more of it. So it just light bulb. I should bring that with me and show, because we talked about it last week. Okay, there we have 1 row. I'm not going to join it in a round. But I will continue it in another red. Let's see. Rogue Heroes, that was the name. Hey, Karl! Let's see if he comes. I'll yell at him. There, I sent him a message. Hey, Karl. Okay. He's got it a couple times. Okay, well, lazy join different ways. Okay, let's see if I just do another row here. Just for the sake of showing it. Then I'll get through halfway through this row and then I'll show you how I kind of joined it. Because I see that, I think Virginia Miller has a video for lazy join, but she does them different than I do. Slightly different, but not too much. I think it was Virginia Miller. Somebody else had another lazy join as well, but it's different than I do mine. So, let's see, 1 more maybe? 2 more. And then, are you taking notes, Torben? Karl, Torben says your iced coffee's on fire. I'll have to write it to him. I don't know. He might have his headphones on. Otherwise, I just go get him. There. Actually, he hasn't seen the message yet. I could send him strange gifts. Okay, and then if I use this color. So now I'm going to stop doing the red and switch to purple. So then I thread the purple so it's ready to go. What I've been doing is look on the back side and see the last kind of motions that your yarn went through. Even if you don't have it exact, it doesn't matter, but I kind of do like that. Go under there, and it's hard to see it through there. Just like that, the last motion that your string went through. And then pull it not all the way through because you're going to need a tail. Something like that. Then hold that out of the way and hold the other color out of the way so you have just the loop and the purple yarn. And then continue. Tail when you're out of the way. It's kind of hard doing this while hugging a phone. And then I should have taken that tail off. I used to have a lot of this yarn, but I don't like it anymore. It's the Viking Natur garn. Maybe it's just the colors I don't like, but so I use these for classes. So if we continue, just to get to the end of the row. There. One more, two more. My yarn wants to shred. It's pretty old, I think. Yeah, one more. Okay, so now I have it like that, and you can tighten it a bit by pulling it that way and this one this way. So now it's kind of crossed, but you still have these two strings hanging off. So then we'll join with yet another color so that you can see it. Amazeballs, yeah. So this is my lazy way of doing it. So anytime I'm working with white yarn, I will do this as well, even if it is wool. Red Hat Ladies colors, there you go. My aunt is a Red Hat lady from Georgia. But the rest of my family is in the north. Okay, so then we'll join another row here. But yeah, if I'm working with white yarn, I will do this because even no matter how clean your hands are, and even if you haven't been eating chocolate or drinking coffee, it will still color the yarn. Red Hat Society is, was it 60 plus or something in the United States? Group of ladies who get together, craft, stitch, bitch, whatever, or just hang out, go on tours. Yep, so I get to the tails in a minute here. First we have to go over the second row here. So there I'm right before, do one more. There we go. Now you can either push that out of the way or you can, oops, sorry, or you can take this first loop and this one together like that and then continue. And then the same thing here. You can take one. Let's see, and that one too. You don't have to stitch over the red. You can just keep the red back and just sew it in later. I'm just doing it a little bit like I would with crochet, that you would just kind of stitch right over it, because anything that saves me time from weaving in ends later is nice. But with needle binding, it doesn't unravel, so you really don't have to weave it in that well and it'll still stay. You just have to make sure that you kind of tighten up your splice a little bit so it's not too loose before you weave in the ends. Let's see, we'll get to the end of this row, or the end of the string, whatever comes first. Yeah, no, end of the string, fine, that's how it is going to be. So there it's through, but on the back side now we have this one that's been running underneath. You can tighten that in and sew it in. And then you have this end here, which you also kind of need to tighten a little bit. And then I will use a different needle for this part. I like my tapestry needle. It's just a darning needle, but it's extra long. So then I'll put the purple on there. If it's not too long for this, it might be. Yeah, it's too long for this. Let's see. Maybe go under these here. That one, as long as it doesn't go through the other side. Something like, where to go there? Yeah, anyway, it's just for show. So you kind of, right there. And then I have to do it this way because my tail isn't long enough and my needle's too long. Thread it and then pull it through. Like that. So you want to give it kind of a little bit of tug. These two, a little bit of a tug, like that, just to make sure that it doesn't look extra big on this side. And then you can just cut it off there, and cut it off there, and no one will ever know. But that's how I lazy join. So if I'm using white yarn, I do this. If I'm using this yarn, I have to do that, because it just doesn't. If I'm using acrylic yarn, I'll do it that way. But yeah, even if it's white wool, I will still do it, because no matter how clean your hands are, it'll still turn the thing colored. Never eat Cheetos and do work with white yarn either, by the way. If it actually shows through there, I see mine shows through there, but I can, you can also just kind of do it behind afterwards instead of doing it along the way. But that's how I do my lazy join. I kind of figured I'd have that question today, so I kind of came prepared. So you think you can do it, PJ? I think you can. Let's see. But that's what it looks like on the back side now. Libelula is here from France. We've had a lot of French people this time, by the way. We miss you too. I'm glad you found us anyway. I was late in posting, of course, because we started doing online guiding. That we can talk about more in a minute too. Let's see. Saparuto is here. Advice from felting down a hat, please. How much bigger should it be? I saw that Nella wrote that it should be about 40% bigger than you want to make it. But actually it depends on the wool. You'd almost have to make like a little sample, measure it, wash it down, or whatever you're going to do, the way you're going to felt it with some hot water or whatever, and then measure it again and see how much difference it changed. Because I actually have a project I want to do that with in the stash busting thing here. Let's see. It's in here somewhere, I just can't see it. At least I thought it was. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, so this yarn is falling apart really easily. This thin yarn, the one thin yarn I put in my stash busting. Normally I like to work with yarn that's thick, so that'll give you some gauge idea. And then, of course, I made my stitches. You can almost see through them. They're far too loose. That's why you have this gap in between. I should have made a denser stitch. So I've decided that since there's so much of this, I think eat Cheetos with chopsticks. That's a good idea. You know, my stepdad uses toothpicks. Puts them in a bowl and just pokes them with a toothpick and eats them that way. But chopsticks was a good idea. Anyway, so this one's going to be super huge. So the idea, I think, on this one is I think I'm just going to keep growing with it and then felt it. But that means I have to make it, I think, as Nell says, 40% bigger. And then if you're worried about it felting too much, don't do it in the machine. Just hand felt it. Hot soapy water. Gudvangen soap, I think, is the one that we use, green soap. You use like at least a quarter, if not a third, of the soap to water, and you use a hot water anyway, and then you just kind of rub it all over, and it'll get smaller and smaller. And then when you rinse it with cold water, you're shocking it, and it'll get smaller yet. And if, yeah, there goes Nella says, okay. So she says, up to 40%, can anything between 0 and 40%, and there's no way of knowing other than testing a gauge that affects it too. Yeah. So if I was smart, I would make a little sample of this to see how big it is, and then felt it, and then see how much I lost. But I think I'm just going to use the force on this one and just make it big and felt the crap out of it. And if it doesn't felt enough, I can stick it in the washing machine and it'll felt it even more. If that doesn't, if it felts too much, it's going to be a really interesting bag. You only use acrylics on your WH models, on your Warhammer models. Let's see. TJ, what I tend to do with acrylics is split one end of the yarn into threads and sort of plait it around the old end. Doesn't always work. Yeah, that one is called, I think, the braided edge, or the braided splice, where you can, let's see, this is my stash busting yarn, so if I waste a little bit here, that's not a bad thing, right? You can see how easily this stuff breaks. Let's see, if you take it apart, this is, I think, just 2-ply. Sorry, I think I have to have this way closer to my eyes to do it. I think I hear a Karl. Yeah, but you can braid these two into each other. I think you'd have to have a third ply to do it. But just kind of, and then braid it around. You would put it through like that, and then you braid these three together, and then you braid these three together. We're getting our Nalbinding on, Karl.
Yes, I see that.
I null bound with chenille. So that's another way of doing. Another one is you can sew. Take this thread and kind of sew it in and out through that and pull it through. There's like the mango join, and there's the Russian join, I think, where you just make a knot. It's kind of like you'd make a necklace.
I gave you half an hour because I saw you had your stroking yarn with
I was stroking the yarn. Yeah, you missed it. I was stroking the yarn. And it only frayed. Let's see, how do you tie a damn? I can't do this through the phone. Let's see. So you tie one knot so it goes away from you. There we go. Now I can do it. I shouldn't have split the yarn for this. So you tie that one so it goes away. And then you tie this one around that one so that it points away. Let's see, I have to think. This is how you would make a necklace if you wanted to make a sliding necklace. There we go. Okay, so I kind of got it. Maybe not. There. Okay. So you have the two knots anyway, and then when you pull it together, you can also call it, I think it's a weaver's knot too. And then you could cut these a little bit finer and then keep going, but you'll still have that little knot in there, and that drives me nuts. So, but there's lots of different ways you can join anyway, but I usually just spit splice. As long as it's got at least 40% wool in it, you just need more rage and it'll go. Or maybe you have to do not just the ends of the yarn, but maybe go much further to make it work. And then just pull carefully as you go through. But then otherwise I do the lazy join like that. Okay, I have a Karl. Let's see. Ooh, turning it around, too far. It's a Karl. Can I put it like that? No, I need it higher. Do you want to tell them what we did today? We had a fun surprise on our tour. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything surprising.
No, you did. You had online guiding today. First one for the season, right? Holy crap, it's hot in here. Anyway, first one in the season, because we started selling our tickets on Zoom, we decided to put 2 days out. And the boss approved that we can do it for the price of a ticket coming in the door, so it's like $20, I think. 205 Norwegian kroner anyway. So we thought, okay, why don't we set up his tour online and over Zoom, and you can have quite a few people up in there or not, or maybe you're lucky and you get to be the only one on the tour, which is what happened today. And it's just the same price as you would pay if you came in the door. And then I follow him around with a gimbal, this thing here that I'm actually using now. There you go, which makes it move kind of nicely anyway. And then Karl does his tour, and you can see what he actually does every day here. Today, though, it was kind of fun, though. So we had this lady on. She had a little bit of trouble logging in, but we got it figured out. And then she says halfway through, she had a link issue around the textiles. She says, well, I'm into the textiles, but it's okay. Because I saw your vlog, and during the pandemic, I was just kind of surfing on YouTube, and I found your vlog, and I've seen you do the textiles, so that's okay. But so that was really cool anyway. So, but I don't know if I've noticed her on here before, but anyway, so she might be one of those silent ones that was joining, but that was kind of fun to see. So she actually got to see what he does on a regular basis here instead of just listening to me whine. So.
Yeah. If this turns out to be popular, it's another way to make money in the slow part of the year.
It's about the only way you'll see the village at this time of year during the daylight. As far as, well, we did this one at 3 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
So if Central Time, that would, well, the clocks are done changing now. So Central Time, that would be what, about 8 o'clock in the morning? 15 minus 7, yeah, 8 o'clock in the morning.
You're the American, I'm trusting your judgment.
That's middle America, though. That's Central America. So Minnesota would be about 8 o'clock in the morning for them. And now, cider. How's the IPA going, Torben? But anyway, yeah. So then they could see it. And then, but I don't know if next month we'll be able to do it at 3 o'clock. Because it was already getting pretty dark when the tour was done at 4.
Next month we'll make new times for that.
But we do have one more up, actually, for next Saturday at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Our time.
We are sure we're going to have enough light for that. So.
Yeah, no, that'll be fine. But that's on, if you go to the Viking Valley Facebook page, you can find the link for that one, and you can book it directly. It's on the web shop already set up, but I have to like pre-set up days anyway. And I think it's going to have to be if I'm here anyway, it has to be Saturdays every time. And it has to be after 2 o'clock our time because of...
But right now we only have one out for silent. That's next Saturday at 3 o'clock.
Next Saturday at 3 o'clock. We already have one person booked, so it is going for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we get more. So if you want to see what Karl does, that's how you. He does this little thing where he reenacts Rollo and Charlemagne.
No, Charlemagne is well dead at this point.
Okay, tell me who, because I'm
You're
messing
not,
it up.
You're not paying attention at all, are you?
No, I cracked my tooth. I'm like doing this all the time.
I mean, you have watched this tour like probably 100 times.
You have to kiss his feet.
Yes, not Charlemagne's feet.
No,
Charlemagne died in 814, which I
No.
also mentioned. in
King
my tour.
Charles.
Yeah,
Not the same guy.
not the same guy. Well, Charles the Simple and Charlemagne is not the same person.
Potato,
They're
potato.
pretty different in many ways.
How was Rogue Heroes, Karl? We're watching Rogue Heroes to see if it's something we can watch anyway. World War II, we've got 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes in, and I don't know how much of it actually... I was really glad we had subtitles, because he's just bitching about everything. They're using the wrong guns. They didn't even be invented yet, and I'm sitting there trying to read the text.
Oh, no, the guns...
'Cause I don't know what the hell's going on.
The guns are invented. It's just that if you are English and you steal weapons from New Zealanders, it's very surprising that these weapons turn out to be American.
That was it, yeah. To backtrack a bit, I see Nella said split joint has to be made very close to the end so you don't pull it through more than once. Yeah, that's actually nice. It's only if it's got a lot of acrylic in it or something, or if it's a blend that doesn't have too much wool, that I have to take a bigger bite. Otherwise, normally I just do like, that other way. But if it's, yeah. Anyway, but if it's got a lot of acrylic in it, then I have to take a bigger bite and a lot of rage. And then it works. Rhonda says, hi Rhonda, by the way, that's odd. I spit splice all the time with commercial hand spun 100% wool, or brown sheep wool or mohair works very well, never comes apart. I am a spit splicer, and I'm not afraid to admit it. The other thing some people say though too is when you spit splice, for example, you have these 2 overlapping and you splice it together, it might be fatter than here. So you have, right when you go over there, one part is a bit thicker. You can, if you have that constantly an issue, you can take away, split it in half, cut this part away. So you're only using half the thickness. And the same thing on there. Like that. Take away half of it, just cut it away and just splice those 2 in, and it would be a little thinner. But there's more here. Torben says, so when do we do the Christmas beer hula baluba? When are we going to do the Christmas beer? Actually, that's coming up fast.
Well, fast.
It have to be after the Christmas market, though, which is the 26th and 27th of November. We have our Christmas market.
Yeah, then you're cutting into the...
First Saturday after that, we can either do Christmas beer or we do Christmas something, but we have pretty much every Saturday until, what, the 22nd? I think. I don't know how much we're going to be in Gudvangen, or... It's the 22nd or 23rd we go on vacation.
Yeah.
Well, where all of Gudvangen was on
vacation. It would have to be before the 22nd, I guess. But
pick a Saturday, any Saturday up until the 20-something, and we'll do it. I'll buy the beer, and I'll watch you guys get drunk, because I can't drink it. And we'll start going... You were reading the labels in the dialect from the part of Norway that it came in. At the end, I think we're just like, fuck it, just drink it, Karl. It was taking forever. I think we went at least 40 minutes overtime on that one last year.
That's because you were staring at the watch. The next time, I think we just ignore overtime. We continue until we're out of
Oh, we did, actually, but at the I don't know, I maybe was a little overzealous when I bought 18 different beers.
Yeah,
And then Greg's like, why are we drinking from shot glasses? I'm like,
no,
there's 18 beers. Was that you?
That wasn't Greg, that was me. Yes.
That was you. Why are we drinking these out of shot glasses? Do you get it now? 18 beers, taste testing, why we're not using bigger glasses?
No, I still don't get it.
You were a puddle. Okay. Torben says, the first Saturday after the market works for me. I'll tell my people and they will get me there. Good. I have some IPA from Audra as well here for you that you have to try. I don't know if it's Christmas, but you have to try it. And I also have some mead that she made that you have to try too. Homemade mead that she made. I think I can actually drink that one because
I don't know if bear people drink mead. It's generally very different tastes.
Is it allowed to bring your own booze? Yes, you can. Bring your own beer. That's no problem. It has to be Christmas, though. We have standards. It has to be one of those damn Christmas beers. And you have to read the back of the label in the dialect of the area that it came from. And maybe we should talk to each other so that we don't buy the same beer. Last time we had to go run over to the camping place and go, here, somebody drink the rest of the shit. They were very happy, invited us immediately over for coffee, but unfortunately we were pretty tired by then and Karl was pretty passed out. So it was fun. Let's see. That's strange, says Rhonda, about the spices. I wonder why I overlap my ends about 3 inches and get the ends very wet and rub like mad between my palms and then on my jeans. No, Charlotta. Don't go there. But if it depends. If it's for me anyway, I will use a longer splice. If I'm having a hard time, if it's got less wool in it or something, or maybe it's superwash or something like that, you can spit splice superwash, but you're gonna need a lot of rage. I can do it, but yeah, if it's not 100, if it's 100% wool like this stuff, I wouldn't have to overlap it much at all. This is just 100% wool and super fuzzy, so it'd be no problem. But this one was a little trickier, and this is actually wool, but I think it's superwash. I don't know. It's my mom's mystery yarn. Torben says, is Julebrus and moonshine allowed asking for a friend? I can drink Julebrus. Julebrus is Christmas soda. That's
Just
also a
wondering
thing.
which friend, because that's not something that he would drink, I think.
We might have to put him up somewhere to sleep. I don't think we can roll him into his car after that.
Whatever house the Russian girl isn't sleeping in, he can sleep in.
There you go. You can take the textile house. That's our house. Dress warm or drink a lot so you don't know how cold it is. It's actually pretty warm right now. Charlotta's laughing. Gee, I don't know why. Rhonda says, yes, the fibers need more length to grip onto each other. Yes. Okay. What else was pissing you off about the Rogue Heroes?
Rogue Heroes wasn't that bad.
You really did complain a lot for something that wasn't that bad.
Because it takes so little to have no problems with something like this. The
Yeah.
story is already written. We know what happened.
It's about Sterling.
Yes, and his story is written in the book Rogue Heroes, which is probably to a large degree true.
Yeah.
Misunderstanding some things like,
push this
oh
back a
gee, it might be a good idea to hide when you are in the desert in the daytime. It might be an idea to say, bring some guns if you're going to kill Germans. And not every gun in the world is a Thompson machine pistol. I kind of suspect in the first 2 episodes they have like one Thompson machine pistol that they just hand out to different people so it looks like they have more than one gun.
I remember you were saying that. I think that's the same gun, just a different one. They just have to keep taking different shots of it.
Yeah,
so it looks like they have a lot.
They might have been scared by the Alec Baldwin School of Film Safety, so they are now just using one gun that they're pretty sure isn't going to kill anybody.
Okay, super mohair yarn. This one I don't have to overlap much. I don't even have to split it, so I'm going to overlap it like that much. So, yeah. Anyway, and then?
But compared to the Italian tunnel
spitting.
tragedy...
And then, I have to, it's heavy though. Let's see, so it doesn't fall down. Rage! The thing is that's important though, this is the hat, that this end is spliced best compared, because that's the one you're going to pull through more. So there we go. Spit splice, but mohair works like a charm. So there's another show we were watching that you got a little bit enraged with, and we haven't watched it since. Romulus.
Oh, God.
How was Romulus, Karl?
Imagine some Italian guy who has no budget, but he knows a lot of women who are willing to get nude on camera. And he has very little idea of what happened in the year 735 before Christ in Rome. So he just decides to make some shit up. And he has access to a lot of closed-off train tunnels. This is what he is making.
I didn't think it was that bad.
And
Well,
when
there
I
was
say no budget, I think I could fund something better than this. The only thing I couldn't reasonably expect is to have all the naked women. Though I could probably swing something, I could get some of them, but maybe not quite that many, and they wouldn't all be Italian.
How accurate was it? Or what was the most inaccurate thing that bugged the crap out of you?
Well, it's not accurate about anything. It's like,
They had
well,
Celtic witches.
first of all, the story is mythical.
Yeah.
But we are trying to kind of put it into an historical context of the very early Romans, basically, fuck me, the first Romans. So one thing you would expect to see would be spears.
Yeah, there weren't any spears in it.
No.
They were all just using, like, what, knives?
Well, they have knives and they have swords, but when they kill anybody, they just use a sharp stone.
And they had this band that goes around their arms to signify if they're what, slave or...
I have absolutely no idea what the band is.
I don't know, but I know it's worth killing somebody, and it's worth taking somebody's band and swallowing it, and then making yourself puke to get it back up. So that band was absolutely important that he had it, and I don't know why.
It's like a subplot of the Lord of the Flies going on at the same time somewhere in the jungle. It's nuts. It's.
Do you think we're ever going to finish that series?
I
We're only
know
like 4 episodes
I know
in.
for sure that I'm not finishing it because somebody would actually have to pay me to watch more of it.
But they had like an orgy on there.
Yeah, no, but I have access to normal porn. I don't have to watch the weird Italian version.
Okay, but Rogue Heroes, are you giving up on that one, or are we still going?
No, Rogue Heroes is closer to the mark, and for all I know, maybe they have a budget in the next episode.
How about the new Viking series?
Are you insane?
What? It could be good. We'll see what
No.
other relatives they have. Since they're all brothers, Rollo and Ragnar are brothers, and then you have Ivar the Boneless and Bjorn Ironside are brothers, and they're...
Yeah, they are actually brothers.
Okay, what about the other two? I forget what their names are. Somebody help me here. He doesn't let me
Ragnar
watch it,
and
and I can't
Rollo
remember.
are not brothers, historically speaking. At least there is no reason to think that they are. Harald Finehair and Halvdan the Black are not brothers. They are father and son.
Yeah, those two were actually separate. But there was 2 others, I can't remember what the heck their name is. I haven't watched this in a while, but the other 2 brothers anyway. There's Ivar and there's Bjorn, but of course they're brothers from another mother.
Yes, but Ivar and Bjorn
No.
are actually
Yeah.
brothers. There is no problem making them into brothers
Okay.
because they probably were, or both of them at least were called the sons of Ragnar. So at some point, somebody named Ragnar has been acquainted with their mother.
Okay. I'm using Super Wide Stitch. That's right, it's PJ, and you have to look at the code. Otherwise, I'm just saying OU. Lyra has made so many hats, she started doing wrist warmers to have some change-ups. Yep, that's why these are wrist warmers, actually. I thought about making it as a hat, but then I thought it might not look good. But I have to make more wrist warmers, I think. The problem is the wool that I stuck in my stash, with the exception of this one, is actually kind of itchy, so I don't know if that'd be good wrist warmers. But this, I have more of this left. Where is it? I have this much left. So this is enough to make at least a pair of wrist warmers, and I think I'll use Dollarn on that one. Because I like Dollarn on wrist warmers. They kind of hug your hand nicely. What else did I miss here? Uba! Yeah, Uba and Vitsark are brothers with Ivar and Bjorn.
Yeah, probably.
What
At
year?
least.
Are they? It was just the Rollo and Ragnar thing then.
Yes, because people who live at the same time and work together might very well be brothers. People who live 50 years apart and don't work together are probably not brothers.
So, yeah, but Uba and Vitsark, we think that one's actually possible?
Well, that's what the legend says, and
Okay.
there isn't really a strong reason to argue with the legend here.
See your snake in the eye, that was,
They know you're in Denmark, but
yeah, that one I think was one of the related but died early on or something, I forget. Okay, I have to go further back up. Let's see what I missed here. Lyra says 1,649 grams down and 1,146 left. Holy crap! She's already like taken down 3 times as much as I've actually pledged. And that's impressive. No, you're doing very well, and we're not even out of November yet. We're still in the first month. I'm doing pretty good progress on mine, but I did get distracted. Karl, I would love it if you would try these on. This is crochet. My kid found this, sent me this picture from Instagram that she wanted a hat, and I know exactly what it is. It's the pussy cat from the, but it has to have a brim, so it looks just like a bag. But you literally just make a tube and then sew it together on the top. And that's this one she wanted as well. So I need you to try one on, so you can see what it looks like when it's just a square, and then you put it on. See, he gets little pussy ears. So it's the pussy hat. How are you feeling in your anti-Trump times? We don't agree on politics, Karl and I. But anyway, so there you go. That's my kid's Christmas present. She wanted one for Christmas. So she can see what it is, but she can't have it until Christmas, and this is the other one. Let's see. You know what? I think we have to make these in needle binding. I think somebody did back in the whole pussy hat thing with the pink pussy hat or whatever, made one of these for needle binding. But I think I have to make one of these out of needle binding. It's not very historically accurate though. But they're I made those, but that, you know what, those actually, one hat took me an hour to make. It's that fast. So it was kind of nice to have that little distraction, because this goes super fast. But when I saw the hat, I was like, there's no way in hell you're going to pay 200 kroner for that. I can make that. So I did 225 kroners worth of yarn, and I have enough left to make at least one more if I wanted to.
So she could buy the whole hat for 200. So
250 kroner after shipping, though.
Yeah. So
and I bought yarn for 225 kroner. And made 2 hats, and I have enough left over to make one more.
So your time is worth 25 kroner.
No, I'm just cheap, and I don't want to wait for it to come through the mail, and God knows where she's ordering it from. Let's see. It's VAMS anyway, so I have this much left of the red. I'm not adding this to my stash, though, the stash busting thing. But I don't know. It's not enough to make a wrist warmer with. And I think there's one more in here. Oh, that's the blue. No, there should be a white one in here somewhere. Listen to the noise of the plastic bag. That is so irritating on a microphone. No. But that means I'm not counting the hats towards my stash busting win either. Okay, I have no idea where the other one is. But anyway, I don't think these colors are that great together. But there's not much left of it. But I always use VAMs, so I probably have some of these already in my stash. I know I had this one before. But this one felts really well together. It splices very well. Do you want a pussycat hat? I can make it pink.
Don't think so.
No? Okay, fine.
Just one thing I probably have a comfortable amount of. It's hats.
Lyra Wells also, she says she thinks she's cheating because she's using Oslo and Korg, I said, no, that's not cheating. That's actually being quite smart. This one isn't quite Korg, this is Mommen, but everything else I've made so far is in Oslo because it's fast. I chose yarn intentionally that way. Where's the blue one? Ugh, I can't find anything. I should have put him like, there you go. So most of them are going to be this fast because this in Oslo goes super fast. Except for that one thin skein I threw in there just for fun, and this is annoying the crap out of me that I had to take a break from it. It's like so thin that you use a crap load of yarn off of it. I did this much, and it doesn't look any smaller. It looks like the same amount of yarn. Maybe how much does it weigh, actually? Because I haven't counted that towards my gain. Let's try it. All this work is 19 grams, that's it. And the entire skein plus this thing is only 68 grams. The last hat I made was just a little bit less than this skein. But there you go. It's not 68 grams for all that, and it's not getting any smaller. Just a little bit of complaining on my end. Charlotte says, I cried when Ragnar died in the snake pit. Poetry and Happy Tears when Einar made the album. Oh yeah, Einar Selvik was singing in that one. Was it Einar Selvik alone or was it Verdruna? I can't remember. His band. It was a very sad scene. Do you want to tell us how Ragnar died? The real one, not the Vikings one.
It's pretty similar. He dies in a snake pit.
Did they recite poetry?
I don't think they did that here either. They have to remove his poison-proof pants before the snakes wants to bite him. And his last words is something to the effect of how the little pigs will clamor when they hear how the big pig died.
I think that's actually what they did in the series.
No, he has a long monologue after that. I saw that scene.
Oh, you did? Did you cry?
I passionately hate that series.
Yeah. I started watching it in secret when he wasn't there because I haven't gotten past season 5 and I need to finish it off. So, and then he doesn't watch Game of Thrones either. I don't know what his problem is, but now I started House of Dragon.
You don't have to be secretive about it.
I do. I have to watch it in secret because if you hear it in the background, you go nuts.
Headphones, woman.
Yeah.
I can just zone out of reality when I feel like it.
No, then I can turn up the volume. Because I want to be mean. Okay. Let's see. There was another one. Rhonda says she really disliked the Viking series. Way too much soap opera and not enough historical. You and Karl would get along famously. No, it's if you look at it as a piece of fiction, then it's not too bad. And then PJ says, people don't like to do research. I'm reading a fantasy set in ancient Wales, and the author has the main character using a spinning wheel several centuries too early. Oh, how I wish we had the spinning wheel in the Viking Age. Keep digging. I'm going to throw one into an archaeological dig one day just so that we can start using that.
Imagine if somebody made a TV series about our times. Mm-hmm. And I turn Napoleon Bonaparte and Winston Churchill into brothers.
Yeah.
Why not? And most of the time they are spending time arguing about Obama's presidency. Then you kind of have the time span they are fucking around with her.
I like PJs. I don't get a lot of time for Nalbinding. It's hard to Nalbind and type at the same time. Best excuse ever. She says she uses a PC at work and writes novels in her spare time and have to fit knitting where you can. No, that's true. I don't actually get to do this too much at work either. Or whatever I do usually at work is just spinning. Because then I can do that in front of the tourists and it's quite quick. But I found out that I can only needle bind the round part of the hat, not the top in front of tourists, because this I don't have to think. But here my increases get really interesting if I have to do that in front of tourists. I suddenly forget to increase and then it starts to cone. So, but no, otherwise I have a lot of desk work, so I don't get to needle bind at work very much either. So I just have to do it in the nighttime. Odd question. Do you know if horses suffer sea legs and land legs like humans do if on a ship or for days or weeks? Sit down, answer the question.
I would think so, but I don't know.
I have no idea either.
And it's probably better to ask a horse person than a Viking about this.
Do you have any horse people online? I think. Well, there's a couple, I think.
I don't think he would know, but we could ask Greg the next time we have him.
Yeah, Greg has a couple horses. Sit down. We're going to say goodbye before you... I know you're having an addiction problem, but sit down. There's like, look what time it is. 2 minutes. Say goodbye.
It's not like you are ever ending at time anyway. You're just
I'm actually ending on time. This is 7 o'clock on here, and the only reason it says 3 minutes less on the phone is because this time, when YouTube hiccuped it, let me resume, but it restarted the counter. But it is actually 7 o'clock, so we should probably call it a day. There's a lot of chat I missed, but did Vikings transport horses? Actually, that's a good one.
We know for sure that I transported cows to the New World. I would think that the Vikings are not famously horse people, and a
It's easier
horse
to talk
take a
to.
lot of room on a Viking ship.
Yeah.
So I would think they probably normally didn't. But the Normans, with light Viking Age technology and a fondness for horses, must by necessity have transported a fuckload of horses over the English Channel.
Yeah.
So they certainly did. Vikings probably didn't normally do that.
Yeah.
But horses get to Iceland somehow.
Yeah, because all they had was the miniature horses, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Those
but
ones that are
I
extinct.
don't think that, well, the Icelandic horse is not extinct, but I don't think
No,
the
the
Icelandic
other.
horses was on Iceland before the Vikings. The Icelandic horses are small horses that...
No, I mean I thought they
was-
had like dog-sized horses at one point, but they're extinct.
What the hell would the point of that be?
I don't know, but you can't ride it.
And then what's the point of the horse?
Okay.
You keep
There's
it around
actually
for
another one
food?
thing. One more thing you gotta say here. Okay. Where was it? Lyra asked something there, or said something. Perhaps no, that's not. No, that's not the one I was thinking of. I like that one though. Perhaps I'm using my tiny balls to make little bags. That's a loaded comment, but I agree. The rest of my yarn's gonna have to be in stashes. No, there was something, the Valhalla series. There, oh no, it was Kiwi. I watched the first episode of Vikings Valhalla. It's the sequel. And they kept referring to themselves as Vikings like it's an ethnic group. Do you agree? Is the Vikings an ethnic group or not?
No, and even if they want to reference an ethnic group, which they probably wouldn't, but then the ethnic group would sure as hell not be Viking. It's like, it's an occupation, not an ethnicity, as people keep saying.
He's over here.
So, and you don't change your ethnicity when you change your occupation.
Yeah.
So, to put it like that, Captain Jack Sparrow is not Somali.
No. There, now we can hear you better. I forgot my front microphone. Okay. So then we have that. Vikings is not an ethnic group.
Well, it might, and it's a word, and words can be used to mean basically whatever the hell people want them to mean.
Yeah.
So it might at some point have been used to mean that, but the word is very rarely used in the actual Viking Age. And one of the times when it is actually used is a English, I believe he was a bishop, complaining that his servants keep running away to become Vikings. And he's not meaning that they change their ethnicity, their language, and their religion. He means that they are now stealing stuff that doesn't belong to them, and they are not working his fields as he wants them to.
Okay. Then on that note, let's go. No, okay, then I can think of most of it, but... Oh, there's some more fun stuff. My friend gave me a small null-bound bag, and I'm going to use the bag for a bag of holding in our D&D game. That's what I do with mine, too. Karl has an addiction. He's got to go, and I should probably go, too, because I need to go take a shower. I stink. Thanks for joining. We'll see you guys next week. And, yeah, if you want to join the Zoom tour scheduled for the Saturday the 19th at 3 o'clock our time, you have to go to the Viking Valley Facebook page, and you can find a link. It will go on because we at least have one person booked. Okay. See you next Saturday, same time. Bye.